Welcome to the Empowered Mind podcast with Joelle and Natalie Rivera. We are on a never-ending quest to master the power of our mind, develop a growth mindset, and explore the leading edge of positive psychology and human potential so we can take radical personal responsibility for creating our destinies and reaching our potential. Okay, so today's challenge is to stop saying, "I'll be happy when," and then filling it in that ... with whatever it is that you feel that you need in order to be happy. Because when you catch yourself saying, "I'll be happy when this, that, or the other thing happens," it should be a signal to you that there's something that you're holding on to, that you are actually harming yourself in the meantime while you don't have it, by telling yourself that you're not allowed to be happy until you have it, which of course isn't true. So we're going to dive a little deeper into what happiness really is and why people get stuck feeling like they're delaying their happiness for something to happen.
And the reality is that if you wait till "I'll be happy when," is that you will never actually be happy. You might experience moments of joy, moments of happiness here or there, but you'll never truly be happiness. You see, happiness has two components. There's the eudaimonic happiness and the hedonistic happiness. And really the hedonistic happiness is the happiness that comes from our external world, which is where we say, "I'll be happy when." I'll be happy if I get a pay raise. I'll be happy if this person does this. I'll be happy if I make this or do this. But eudaimonic happiness is really the happiness from within. And that's really what we're talking about, is how you can have the power to feel happiness at any moment in time.
And so really what it comes down to is the greatest superpower in the world is to find within yourself the ability to feel happy, even if it's a temporary moment, within any situation. So it doesn't matter what is happening around you. The truth is that happiness doesn't depend on the circumstances of your life. It depends on something else. And so I can prove it to you. So whatever it is that you feel like you're waiting for to be happy, and it could be that you recognize, I can be happy in certain moments, but I mean like generally in my life, every day happy, I'm waiting for this. So whatever it is that you don't have, the question is, have you experienced times of happiness not having that? Like, for instance, if you went to an amusement park and you were going on a roller coaster and you were having a great time and you were really happy in that moment, does it really matter that whatever this thing is, you say you can't be happy until you have it, isn't there? Of course not. You're enjoying the moment. And so the truth is that you don't have to have this thing to be happy.
Or another example, it could be something as simple as you have taken a walk in nature, just sitting in nature somewhere, and you just truly feel happy for no reason other than you feel happy. And really it's about choosing your state. And that's what people don't understand, is that you can always choose your state. So if you're used to being sad, angry, or whatever it is, you find more of that because you're giving your brain a command. This is the state that I want to live in. So happiness is a process that you can work on and you can develop more of it. And the more you experience it, the more your mind and body are looking for it, are looking for those experiences. For example, if you're in a negative state, you can just close your eyes or even think of something that you're grateful for. And just that moment that you think about gratitude can quickly change into a moment of gratitude and happiness. Is that very easy to do instead of just focusing on the negative things that might be impacting you?
And so, a lot of people talk about, positive thinking, and it actually has a pretty bad reputation. But when you really look at what that means, it means that the way that we feel and therefore the experiences we have in our life are ultimately the cause of what we think. Now, granted, a lot of that thinking happens unconsciously. We're not aware of it. And so it can take a lot of work to really reprogram the way that you think. But the truth is that positive thinking isn't just some woo-woo mumbo jumbo. If you think positively, you feel positively. Now, of course, there are times in life when something terrible or stressful is happening. And in that extreme moment, yes, it might be challenging to find a feeling of happiness, but it doesn't mean that you have to let it linger. Once something passes, it's your choice whether you continue to think about it and focus on it. Like if you have a bad day at work and you got in an argument with your boss, it feels terrible. But if you get home and for 3 hours, all you're doing is complaining about it and talking about it and thinking about it and rerunning the argument in your head over and over and over again and making yourself miserable, that is your choice. Just because your boss is a jerk doesn't mean that you can't be happy.
And you can say, "I can't wait to get out of work," for example, and then find yourself outside of work, thinking about work, and complaining about work, because technically you're still at work, right? But just to give you a perfect example, when I was ill, there was many times that I had to go to the hospital, emergency room. And me and Natalie would be sitting there while I was getting poked all over the place and getting all these probes on me. We would be there laughing and smiling and enjoying the experience, because part of it was that if this was the last moment, how do I want to spend it? So it's the fact that you can find happiness regardless of what's happening in your life. If you wait for that experience to create happiness, you might get to that experience and then be disappointed because it didn't produce the happiness that you wanted to, or because you realize that you felt happy then, and then a couple of days later, you need something else to create happiness. And that's what the instant gratification of our society is constantly looking for things that are going to create happiness, because people haven't found that they have the choice to change their perception and find happiness from within themselves.
And so really what it comes down to is, if you tell yourself you're not going to be happy until you get something, not only are you holding yourself back now from feeling good, but you're also holding yourself back in the future. Because the truth is, you might anticipate this great thing that you think is going to happen, or this big relief. Like for instance, maybe you're going to go on a vacation. Oh, I'll be happy when I'm finally laying on the beach, sipping a martini. Well, what'll happen though? If you don't stop this pattern of putting off your happiness and you don't take responsibility for it, then when you get there and you're laying on the beach sipping your martini, you're going to be thinking about your jerk boss, and you're going to be feeling miserable there too. And so happiness has nothing to do with the circumstances of your life or whatever it is that you feel that you need, and it has everything to do with you.
So I'll give you something simple that you can do starting today that research has shown to increase happiness and well-being in people. It's something simple. You can get a journal and just start writing your gratitude. So every morning when you wake up, or every evening before you go to bed, write down a couple things that you're grateful for, especially when you start in the morning, because you start your day from a place of gratitude. And what happens is that you're also training the brain to look for things to be grateful, if it knows that it has to look for things to be grateful, because at night you're going to be writing it down. So it's activating your reticular activating system in your brain to look for those experiences. Because again, whatever experiences you're telling your mind that you want to have, your mind is going to look for them. If you want to have more gratitude, more happiness, then you have to set the foundation within yourself for your brain to look for those situations, to feel more happiness and feel more grateful, regardless of what's happening in your exterior.
And so I just want to clarify, when it comes to coming up with what you're grateful for, it doesn't mean that you have to feel like oozing and overflowing with gratitude. It just means finding something that you can recognize the value of and you can appreciate. So if you are waking up in the morning just feeling grumpy, even just be appreciative of the fact that you have a comfy pillow. It could be something really simple. And if you can't get yourself to actually feel gratitude in that moment, at least you can focus on something positive. Look for the silver lining. Even in a crappy situation, there's something that could be worse. So, a lot of people make fun of me for being one of those like eternal optimists. Every time someone says something bad, I'm like, yeah, well, at least it's not this. Like, I'm always constantly trying to find that silver lining.
Or you can learn something from this, and how can it benefit you in the future, or maybe has this purpose in your life.
Yeah, and so we've trained ourselves to always look for that positive. And the reason why is because it works. Because we recognize that it's our responsibility to create happiness from within. And the only way to do that is to take back control of your own thoughts and focus. Thank you, fellow Freedom Junkies, for listening. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. And if you want to help us grow, please rate and share this podcast. You can also become a member of Freedom Nation. Visit freedomorbustpodcast.com and sign up to receive access to exclusive content and take the 21-day Happiness Challenge. As you know, we believe that entrepreneurship is the ultimate form of empowerment, which is why we created the Side Hustle Business Startup course for anyone looking to create their own income and take back their power. We offer an exclusive discount for our podcast listeners. Find out more at freedomorbustpodcast.com.